I have this curiosity, not just to see, like the West, but there's always been some sort of a curiosity about other worlds than the world that I live. I often say this jokingly, but it's actually not really a joke. I'm considered as an incarnation of some Tibetan Lama. I have to honestly say I have no recollection, not even a little bit, about my predecessors. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe in reincarnation. I think actually I do believe in reincarnation, not only logically or scientifically, but even emotionally. Of course, emotion is very important, right? For instance, when I go to Machu Picchu, I think some of you have heard this me saying, but anyway, I will repeat. When I go to Machu Picchu, I always feel very haunted, and I always feel that I was there, like probably 1,000 years ago, as an Inca. You understand? And sometimes when I go to like Java, Indonesia, and when I hear gamelan music, then again something hits me. That I feel like, oh, maybe I was in some sort of a musician in the Javanese court, so on and so forth. Okay. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that even though I was raised in a very, very strong traditional setting, I've always been curious. Anyway, towards the end of my 20s, I managed to go to London, and I was supposedly to study religious psychology, but I have to say, skip most of the class, really wasn't studying. By then, I also have a few my Western friends who consider themselves as my student. So I make them do my homework. I make them do my thesis. I go around looking at the Tate galleries, go to cinemas. Sometimes I go to watch 4 movies. There is a place called ICA, I think. I haven't been there for a long time, so probably I'm making, maybe I'm not remembering the name. ICA, I think it is. It's a really good place to watch a film. And it was there I watched, because as a student, I had a student pass. So as a student, you can just basically watch the film with £1, 4 films. So I would eat there and watch films, but not only film. I try to read like George Orwell's. My English was, when I was raising, growing up, my teachers, classic traditional teachers, English was prohibited, wasn't allowed. I do remember learning English secretly, and because there's no proper text, I would use like worn out copy of Tintin comic books to learn English. Okay, anyway, so there was this curiosity. Basically what I'm trying to say is I have a lot of enthusiasm in this art of telling stories. And now, as a lot of social scientists, they say story is important. Story is what makes a difference between us and chimpanzee. We human beings know how to tell stories, and that's why we know how to gather. We can talk. We can create legends. We can create. We can motivate people, we can lead people, we can deceive people, we can, divert people from this direction to that direction, etc., etc. And so story is really, really important. And by the way, the fact that story is important is not really, as a Buddhist, it's not a new discovery. is actually taught by the Buddha. Buddha himself said this. In fact, I don't know how you will accept this, but Buddhism, the whole Buddhism is a story. And there are a lot of different layers of stories in Buddhism. Because not every story is good. I mean, not, there is no such thing as one story fit for all. Of course, all aiming to reach to, for a Buddhist, liberation, freedom, moksha, nirvana, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, storytelling complementary to my society, my tradition, my so-called religion, my so-called training. So it's very, very at home. Now, sometimes people ask me, hey, as a Buddhist, and as a Buddhist priest or as a Buddhist teacher, how come, you are making film? This question actually is not a good question. Because this is almost like asking, hey, how come you as a Buddhist, how come you type? Because film is actually just a medium, right? It's a language. It's a tool. And we could easily use film as a tool to tell our stories. I have to say, probably telling stories with a medium of film, as especially the film as we know now, probably that's already dying now. The language of film or movie or film, that probably is already dying because, as you know, probably right now, people are more interested in things like episodic Netflix, television kind of things that goes on for like season after season, so on and so forth. Even that probably may not last long. Probably in a few years' time, people will only be interested in something that is so short. When I was beginning to learn filmmaking, this is like 25 years ago, I took some short courses. I also listened to, real masterclass from different people. I also watch, filmmaker, like real masters there. Anyway, 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, we have always been told, you have to catch the audience within 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, something has to happen. Otherwise, you have lost your audience. So as you can see, like most of the Hollywood film, within almost 10 minutes, like a James Bond film, within 10 minutes, something will happen to hook you. Not anymore. Now, within 2-3 minutes, you have to hook the audience. Because people have gone beyond, right? So maybe within few seconds, you have to actually get the audience's attention. Sorry, I don't have an order of what I wanted to tell you, so it's going to go everywhere. So probably at the end of my whatever I'm blabbering, you will end up like, what did he say? You understand? Anyway, I'm telling you that I am somebody who really appreciates the power of storytelling, but the storytelling has evolved. So it's now evolving. Now, as a Buddhist, we could very well use this technique of storytelling. And I'm not only talking about film, I'm talking about books. In fact, I was just telling to a few campers just about a month ago, because I run few schools, one in New York, one in Singapore, and probably one quite soon in Thailand, for schools for kids. And you know, in Buddhism, we have stories. For instance, the Jatakamala Sutra, where there's all the stories about Bodhisattva when they were in the form of bird, monkeys, donkeys, horses, so on and so forth. But they were written in the most difficult format. Poetries, classic language, prose, and you know, like all that rhyming and all that. So actually the Jatakamala Sutra is the most difficult to read, the original one. Of course, there's a very simplified one now. And then, meanwhile, our many kids, they get so moved by Cinderella, all these stories, right? So I think as a Buddhist, I can see the importance of learning how to tell stories, you know, based on different time, based on different people, different culture, background. I'm not claiming that my films will always be related to Buddhism, that my motivation of making film is to teach to the, people. That's too arrogant, and I don't want to even, you know, that's too risky to even claim that. But nevertheless, as somebody who has been so marinated and so soaked into the Buddhist world, I'm sure whatever I do, there's always going to be a little bit of a Buddhist influence. Anyway, I watched because, you know, as a, well-behaving human, yesterday I watched the film that which some of you painfully watched 10 minutes ago. I watched it again yesterday because I was presenting that. So it was so educational for me. I mean, I have to say, my artist, the amazing performance, and of course my editor, the cameraman, the production design, all of that. But as a writer and the director, because there's always, you know, I always have that, Am I going to listen to what I say? Okay. This is a good story. What just happened? Anyway, we can talk about it. Originally, I was only going to talk about one thing, about beauty being the thread, right? Is this what we are doing? Yeah. Okay. But I want to add two more. I've been thinking about this. This is just my opinion. I will share with you, and then you can always contradict and argue, debate, whatever. I want to tell you two other extra. Okay. In the whole storytelling world, I think there are two challenges. One is so-called universal theme. I think this is a big problem. In the storytelling world, they always say you need to have a universal theme. We need to think about this. Because this so-called universal theme can really limit you. And especially, I mean, I sound like a broken record, but today, when we talk about universal theme, we always seem to talk about Hollywood theme, right? So you have this hero, the hero wishes to achieve something, and maybe hero is not the right word, protagonist, you know, he or she has an aim, and then the aim need to be facing with a problem, and I mean, that's just the technique of the storytelling, but the universal themes such as romance, such as, I don't know, like, right? You know, like genre, they call it genre. So there's a romance, there's a suspense, there's a like bad versus good, good versus bad. I don't know, saving the world, saving the family, etc., etc. Good versus evil. We need to think about this. Especially, I think every culture has a really different way of, different themes, right? And in the process of trying to, what do you call it, catch the, I'm trying to, you know, align ourselves with a universal theme, we may end up just following a sort of a Hollywood, Bollywood kind of version of so-called universal theme. Now, this is something that we need to make a decision. Of course, you know, it's always going to be difficult because even when we talk, okay, let's say just two people talking. I am talking to somebody, and this somebody is my audience. Now, I want to tell something that he or she has never heard, something unique. Okay? I have, I don't know, something like there's a 9-dragon part in Bauda, something like that. I want to tell this, and that's unique for me. But the problem is, I need to also really give in a lot with the listeners, how he or she is going to receive. And this is always a challenge. One who tells the story and one who listens to the story, you know, the communication between these two is going to be a big problem. I mean, this is, you have to really bow down a lot. I mean, you have to have a courage also. And plus, you know, like if you have a commercial interest, then that's another matter. Have you ever watched a film called RRR? Nato Nato? Nato Nato, right? Dance? Now, that is a brilliant film, I would say. It is probably one of the most stupid things that you can watch. It's like so just mind-bogglingly stupid. But it is so well packaged, told. I mean, everything is there, everything. The little bit of Indian, the Hindu gods and goddesses, the color, the songs, the dance, the music, the British, the the freedom fighter, the all that is all there. And some of them are just like completely far out and is like over the top. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And I don't know whether the audience have ever seen a film called Chak De. This is like 15 years ago. This is, I think, Indian film actor, what's his name? Shah Rukh Khan, right? And it's a It's a film about cricket match between India and Pakistan. You have already made money, right? Just that idea. But cricket, already, you can have a lot of audience. And then Pakistan and India, that's already very juicy. And then also the story is quite well told, actually, the Chakde. I don't know whether you remember. So what I'm saying is, now you have to make a decision. If you want to just make money and you want to make a big splash, box office smashing, etc. Like I always give this example. To go in a Starbucks kind of coffee, you fairly know what you will get. What Americano in Seattle and do you have Starbucks in Kathmandu? Oh, that doesn't work. Okay. Seattle, coffee in Seattle, Starbucks in Seattle, Americano, and Tokyo, I don't know, Bangkok, Delhi, is similar. And it's also designed, the cup, the green logo, the chair, all this like mind-boggling menu, hot, cold, grand, tall, small, all of that. Everything, setting, where the coffees are placed, how many small things that you can add on, all that. So if you just want to have a safe coffee, you already know what to have, right? So then you go to Starbucks coffee. You know what you will get. Now, if you want to have a little bit of a different coffee, such as this Vietnamese coffee, like a coffee with egg, now then we are talking about another totally different phenomena. Right? So the Vietnamese took long time. I just was in Vietnam. And I actually like coffee. And I really like the fact that there were a lot of Vietnamese coffee that is prepared in a very, very Vietnamese way. Like they will have this coffee, I don't know, what do you call it? They call it Vin coffee or something like that. There's a metal sort of container. You put the coffee, grounded coffee, and you put the hot water, and they'll be dripping, and it's not really an espresso, but it's sort of an espresso. And then also the Vietnamese, they like to have a condensed milk a little bit. And then it's up to you how much you stir. More you stir means more sweet. Less you stir, And then also, the first sip, bitter. And as you sip more, it's more sweet. Stuff like this. So is this how you want? So you are telling the story, right? This is how it is, the coffee with the egg and all of that. So if that's what you want, then you go to this kind of a gourmet, what do you call it? Non-Starbucks coffee. So it's like that with everything, actually. Everything. Buddhism also. What kind of Buddhism do you want? For Noble Truth, Vipassana, Shamatha, sit like this. And you have that. Now, do you want like mandala, mudra, mantra, all of that kind of, like gourmet, right? A little bit shocking. Coffee with egg? That's a little bit like, what is that? You understand? So you can have that kind too, right? So story. So anyway, so when we say universal theme, I think storytellers and filmmakers like myself and many of you, I think we have to be kind of careful how much of this universal theme is not dominated by Hollywood, Bollywood, which is dominated by Hollywood anyway. Although that is changing now. Of course, that is changing because, for instance, China is becoming very prosperous. So because China is prosperous, because, you know, just like about 30 years ago, Chinese film goers is very, very little, right? Very little. I mean, there's no cinema, whatever. But now the Chinese film market is very big, really big. So now the commercial filmmakers have to think about that. You know, commercial filmmakers, they need to make money. So wherever money can be made, that's how they will sort of blend in. So, you know, you can already see there's even the Hollywood cartoons. There's a lot of things like Pocahontas. Very soon, I will not be surprised if there is a Cinderella with a Mongolian dress. I don't know. That can happen. Anyway, I don't know whether I made it clear, but yeah, universal theme is something that I would be wary of. I'll be very, but you have to make a decision there. There's a Thai film I will highly recommend you to watch. It's called this time I'll suggest something new. It's called Splendor of Cemetery of Splendor. It's like that. It's like coffee with an egg, pork. I don't know. It's really, really special. But you need to decide to sort of write, make, watch, appreciate that kind of film. This, you know. Anyway, so the universal theme. Okay, so one that our conversation is titled after, beauty is the trap. Now this one is something to think about again. And probably, again, I'm talking rubbish here, most probably. I think probably it is a byproduct of too many readings here and there. I think there's a difference between the cinema and a movie. A lot of writers and filmmakers, they tend to like the beautiful shot. I have to be one, I have to say. I admit, it really takes a lot of courage. You know, the moment you put the camera, you like to have a beautiful shot, like a smoke coming, I don't know, the rule of thirds. You understand, the wide shot, close up, all this beautiful shot. It can really kill the cinema, I feel. Many times when you watch good films, I would say, I mean, good is very subjective, of course, but like, I would say like Fellini, the Italian filmmaker Fellini, I think he has a film called 9.5 or something like that. 8.5, right? And then also, like this Thai film, some of the shots are just so badly shot. You can almost think it's badly shot. Unfocused, you know, like framing is all like lopsided, but it is so good, so powerful, because, you know, it's a life experience, right? Not every time when we look at each other, there's a beautiful shot. There's a lot of, you know, lopsided framing, especially if you are in the Kathmandu street. But that's what makes things so powerful and so interesting and so cinematic. It really takes you there. And people here in Kathmandu, I mean Nepal, I think there's a lot of things that you can take advantage with. I mean, this is like the feast of information. I'm not just talking about beautiful shot of Annapurna or what is it? Deolagar, what? Delagiri and all. I'm not only talking about that. I'm talking about just, I don't know, just bad, appearing, seemingly badly shot film. As I said, probably I'm talking something really rubbish, but at least since you have decided to waste your time sitting here, just go through. I have only one more thing to say now, which is byproduct of what happened yesterday. So I was watching my own film yesterday. And this proves that I'm an amateur and I'm a novice. Because when I was watching my film yesterday, I could see myself there. And this is a failure. I can see my voice. I can hear my voice. Anyone who is close friend of me, goes, oh, yeah. It's also considered, but usually says this. You understand? That's him. This is what, and this is blatantly there. And I think this is not a good thing. Many times, if we want to tell you something, let's say I want to tell you to have this coffee. If I'm really good at it, I may not even tell you blatantly, here, have coffee. I will do things. I will say it, probably not to you, but to someone else. By the time, in 10 minutes, you end up drinking this coffee. And this is what I think the storyteller need to do, right? And this, I think, is a difficult one. Like yesterday, when I watched, I could cut a lot of those. My own voice. There's a lot of things I'm talking. So that's it. That's my sort of part confession and part disclaimer of being a master of filmmaking, whatever. And I'd like to, please, if there's any questions.
Thank you, Rinpoche, for your wonderful masterclass. So I'm aware of the time because we have little time to spend with Rinpoche. So I'll go directly to the audience for their question. If you have any question.
Hi. Sorry, I'm just going to take this mic for a short while. So I know some of us here are Rinpoche's friends. So we'll keep these questions strictly for filmmakers. Like there are a bunch of filmmakers who came for the screening and for the masterclass. And I'd like to give the opportunity to the filmmakers present here to ask their questions. So please, ask the fan, can keep our question for the next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxi. So as advised by him, then we'll go to the filmmakers. Would like to ask any specific question to Rinpoche. Just stand up, pronounce your name, and go to the question. Yeah, I can see a lady on the front.
Rinpoche, hello. Thank you. That was a masterclass for me. As an aspiring filmmaker, I was listening very closely to Rinpoche's evaluation of the universal theme and the Vietnamese coffee. Is it possible to have a little subtle compromise there at all?
I think we have to. That's sorry, because the way I present was too hodgepodge. So this is what I was saying. Remember, like if I'm talking to you, my agenda is to tell you my message. But in order to do that, I need to really do it so that you can understand. So I need to really bow down or cut a lot of my own way of telling you, right? So I think that's important. And I need to already know you, okay, so you must have watched a lot of Hollywood, a lot of Bollywood, you know? So yes, and then also, the people have become so smart. You know, in the early days, like let's say in a very, very basic level, like when you are editing. So let's say I have a shot of you talking, then shot of me, and then back to shot of you. So then people can, these two are talking. Nowadays, we don't even need that. People have become so smart because film, moving picture is such a ingrained in our life. So these things we need to, I think, consider.
Thank you, Rinpoche. There is that theme that Rinpoche talked about, the hero, saving the world, that we see again and again. And is it possible still to present that theme in a way that is more of a self-hero and not be conservative or boring or traditional? This innate wish.
Okay. I think so. I will suggest you maybe watch some of the Ozu's film. There's a film called Tokyo Story. It is one of my favorite. And it is about two elderly parents coming to Tokyo to see their children who have now all grown up. And because they are coming from the countryside, I guess we all expect that the children will sort of take care of them, maybe sightseeing, lunches, dinner, whatever. But it so happened that all children are busy, bank, this, post office, nurse. So it's so, to me, that is one of the most, anyway, the hero or heroine in this case is this woman who was masterfully acted by Setsuko Hara, one of the greatest Japanese women actors. She was the one least expected to be helpful to the parents. She's not even their children. And she's actually a widow, I think, of one of their children, something like that. And it is, wow, to me is one of the most important, this, not in the hero sense of Superman, but hero of the daily life.
Rinpoche, thank you. And one last short question that maybe is valid for everyone. I noticed one of the scenes where the protagonist is talking with the monk and there's the tea and the plants in between. He's dressed in blue, the monk is dressed in red on a white cushion, and there's the green plants, this action principle. And Rinpoche had included all the elements, fire, water, everything in one scene. This is a true art. And how can aspiring filmmakers, what can we do to develop that sensitivity?
I wish all the audience are like you. And never really thought about that. But I have to say, what's the original cut, 4 hours? The original cut is maybe 2-3 hours, but there's a longer version. Yes, it's a really long, because many reasons. For instance, this scene where our hero, who has this bad dream, comes to see the monk. This was wonderfully performed by our two friends here, sitting here, all in one go, in one shot. And I really wanted to keep this. And if I keep it, one static shot is something like 15 minutes, continuously. And wow, I really, really try to keep it. But at the end of the day, Starbucks wins. You have to make it entertaining. You have to sort of change. So, okay.
Rinpoche, thank you from my heart. Thank you.
Any other question from the audience? You raise the hand, please. Give mic to him.
Jonathan, you are not allowed to ask questions. You're part of this.
Namaste. And I wanted to ask you something about the ending, about the true motive of the story. Like the story follows through a man whose sister has been dead, and he's he's going through sorrows of his dead sister, and he has to find a Dakini in order to live longer than Saturday and Sunday. I know you'll get this. I'm also, my language is also broken like yours. And in the end, the main protagonist, he is alive. He's still alive and he's very happy. And the last scene where there are two pigeons. There are two pigeons, lovebirds, and after that there are a flock of birds flying. But I couldn't understand it properly. Like, what was it trying to say?
Nothing, actually, to tell you the truth.
Maybe it was. It went from religious perspective also.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, because flock of birds flying in the ending,
right.
And there was one dialogue. The lady character, she said, "It felt like I knew that sign since few thousand years ago."
Yes.
And it was something like a metaphor for me, and it really hit me hard. And
I'm very happy.
Yeah, after hearing that dialogue, after seeing that scene, only then I felt like now I have understood the story. I have understood the one part of the theme, one motive of the story.
I'm very glad you mentioned this, because actually that was sort of the intention. You know, we have in our life some unexplainable feeling towards things. It doesn't make any mathematical or scientific, sense. But yet we do feel like, as I said earlier, I have no reason to feel any closeness to Incas. Nothing. I was brought up in, like Bhutan, India. I have only heard about Incas and Machu Picchu and all of that only when I was in my late 20s. But I do have that. And I think that's kind of important for us, for us as a sentient being, Other than that, all those birds and all of this is a editing kind of tricks. We have to end the story. How do we end? Let's do it in a nicer sort of dramatic fashion. And since the film is already not that dramatic, the only footage we have is the flock of birds flying towards you. So I thought maybe why not?
There is a meaning behind that.
But there might be meaning behind that. Yes.
Meaning behind it.
I'm sure there's a meaning behind that.
I will leave this with you.
Yeah. We may not know it, but there surely is, maybe.
I hope so, yeah.
Next person. Rinpoche already answered the question. Anyone?
Hello, it's me, Anu Panta. Beautiful part about this movie I find is music, use of music. I love that part. You have brought here a lot of different music taste. Some music I didn't understand, to be honest. And then some of the old Nepali songs and songs of Shiva Pariyar and Pashupati Sharma. And then music you have chosen while showing the character of that tea seller. When the hero first time saw the tea seller, you have chosen that aesthetic music. Please could you elaborate why you have chosen that music to show that lady? Thank you.
Thank you. That's an important question, I think. Okay. I came to Nepal around the age of 13 to study Buddhism. So I keep on coming to here. As someone who come come to Nepal regularly, one tend to, take things for granted. We don't really realize these things. But as the years goes by, and then as I was developing this story to be shot in Nepal, then I really had to sort of look inside. And then I have to say, only then I really begin to realize the beauty of Nepal. It can be, just as in the film, in a tea shop. Somewhere, some sort of a music is being played. So I'm always carrying a recorder and a notebook, and then I record this, and then since I don't speak Nepali, I had to ask my friend, what song is this? So that's how I collect. Anyway, I have to say, this film, when I decided to ask Mark Lee Ping Bing, who is one of the greatest camera person right now, he's really, really great cinema photographer. He's done amazing work with people like Wong Kar-wai, really, really amazing. His work has achieved so much. So when the first thing, when we met, first thing I told him is, this film, the main character, main hero of this film is Nepal, Kathmandu. This need to be portrayed. All the others are just happening within this Kathmandu. So I guess we put some conscious decision of what music we should choose. But yes, hearing sometimes music from the transistor in a tea shop somehow seems to have much more potency than actually listening in a concert. Thank you.
We are taking the last question from the audience. Is there anyone asking the question to the remote? Yeah, I can see the lady there on that side. Here. Yata दिनुस् ल यता अगाडि हुनुहुन्छ. She is raising hand.
Hello, my name is Anna. It's a question about music also. My mom teaches Spanish, and she used to sing to me the song Cucurucucu when I was a kid. So I was wondering what inspired you to put it in this scene.
Oh, okay. I was a little bit afraid that this question will come, but it came. I have a lot of Mexican friends. And I say this, my only reason to go again and again to North America is so that I can go to Mexico, because that place is wonderful. There's so many wonderful things about Mexico. I have to tell you this. There's in the city, the Mexico City, there is like a big, almost like a department store that only sells magical stuff. Things like candle to make somebody fall in love with you, or candle to separate two lovers, and so on and so forth, like magical charms, black magic, and so on. That's one of my thing. Then another one is those mariachis, the singers. They always come to you and sing when you eat, especially in a sort of a common restaurant. And I have also a lot of Mexican friends, and somehow I don't know, I heard this, some of these Spanish songs like Cucurucu, and I'm a big fan of Isabella Vargas, and also Mercedes de Souza, right? Argentinian, is she? I don't know. And then there's also Lila Downs. So I guess this is dangerously director involving. So This is one of the things. Because I like it, so I put it there. You know, it's maybe not the best thing to do, actually. Because it's in Nepal, it's set in Nepal, and the poor guy is trying to really give gifts to the girls, and suddenly there's a Mexican music, or Spanish music. I don't know. But then I thought, it's okay, why not? Because after all, in the film, there are Ukrainian girls eating flowers, and everything is a little bit hodgepodge, so I thought it's okay. Okay.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I go with the suggestion by two ladies about the music. And Rinpoche, I owe an apology. Last time I was coming to you and I stopped the traffic. And that time I had gone to the bookstore to present you a couple of books. This is Nepali music makers. It's all about the Nepali musicians. This is for you. And other musical book. There is a biography of Louis Banks. He's known as the father of Indian jazz. He is Nepali, Dambar Bahadur Budapirti, named after Louis Armstrong, Louis Banks. So I offer you a couple of books. That might be the help for you for the next film to incorporate Nepali music in your film. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rinpoche, and thank you, the audience, for your wonderful time and his wonderful talk, indeed the masterclass. And I have to make one announcement that there is a lucky draw of the T-shirt and conducted by a very poet friend of mine, Navraj Parajuli. I would like to invite Navraj Parajuli to come here and do his business. And thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you very much for your time.
I just wanted to make clear this T-shirt is from Rinpoche's upcoming movie, The Bug That Carries Light. So, fire. That's in I think post-production right now, and the T-shirt is kindly given to us by producers. So whoever is the lucky winner, enjoy it. Thank you once again for coming. We really, really appreciate your time and support for this film. Thank you.